So let's look at another example. We're at a county fair and we have two pickup trucks that's attached to the end of a monster truck. One of the pickup trucks pulls with a force of 2,000 pounds and the other one's going to pull with a force of 3,000 pounds, and the angle between them is 45 degrees. We want to know how much force must the monster truck pull in order to remain unmoved. So let's draw a picture of what's going on in this example. So I've got two trucks. Here's my monster truck. And then I have two smaller trucks pulling. We know the angle between them is 45 degrees. I'm going to call this force 1, and I'll call this guy force 2. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be strategic in how I line this up. I'm going to line up force 1 along the positive x-axis, and I'm going to align force 2 this way so that the angle between them is 45 degrees. So when I talk about force 1, okay, remember we're talking about vectors here, so I'm going to use that vector notation. It's going to be the 2,000 pounds times cosine of 0 degrees, because it's going to be along this path, sine of 0 degrees. Now let's simplify that. Cosine of 0 is 1, sine of 0 is 0. So I'm thinking about that as 2,000i. If I think about force 2 is being acted on a 45-degree angle. So I've got 2,000, oh, excuse me, 3,000. And it's going to be cosine of 45 degrees, sine of 45 degrees. Cosine of 45 is square root of 2 over 2. Sine of 45 is square root of 2 over 2. So this is going to be 1,500 square root of 2, 1,500 square root of 2. If I want it in IJ notation, this is going to be 1,500 square root of 2i plus 1,500 square root of 2j. So remember, forces combine the same way that vectors add. So if I wanted to know the force on this being applied to this monster truck, then I need to add these two vectors together and I need to find the magnitude. So let's start by adding them together. So I'm going to add the I components. So I'm going to have 2,000 plus 1,500 square root of 2i. And I'm going to add the j components. And this guy doesn't have a j, right? So it's assumed to be 0. So we could write it that way. So my j component is 1,500 square root of 2j. And to find the magnitude, it's going to be the square root of that first number squared plus the second number squared. All of that stuff's under the square root. I'm going to do that off to the side on my calculator. So I've got 2,000 plus 1,500 square root of 2. I'm squaring that number plus parentheses 1,500 square root of 2, and then squaring that. And then the square root of that is going to be my force. So 4635.22 is what I got. And force is measured in pounds. So what's it going to take for this truck not to move at the county fair? That monster truck is going to have to apply 4635 100 pounds, essentially, of force. Okay. If it applies more than this, then it's going to move these two trucks backwards. If it applies less than this, then these two little trucks are going to pull that monster truck.